A pleasant good morning to everyone and welcome to this week's edition of the Carlos Brown Show, heard exclusively right here on the Open Mic Broadcast Network and Spreaker.com. May 22nd, 2021. Wow, the time is flying. The year is just about half over. But coming up on today's guest menu, it looks like this. He's a defensive coordinator at Southern University. Coach Lionel Washington joins me at about between 10:25 and 10:30 on today's show. Following Coach Washington in hour number 2, Coach Van Pettaway. He'll join me, and his assignment is to get me excited, get us excited about the NBA playoff that's starting today, and maybe give his thoughts on the play-in games that have taken place. Hopefully, to me, it's just a one year situation. But we'll get his thoughts and perspective. And then last but not least, Charles Edmond of the Alcorn State Radio Network. He'll give us his thoughts on the SWAC baseball tournament that is still going on. A game today and then championship Sunday. We'll get his perspective on the SWAC 2021 baseball tournament. Here's simply what's trending on the Carlos Brown Show. Wow. Lynn Thompson is leaving as Vice President of Intercollegiate Athletics. He's resigning from Bethune-Cookman University. But guess what? He's not the only one. Jennifer Lynn Williams announces her plans to step down as AD at Alabama State. Wait a minute, there's another one. We'll tell you about that one. I want to save that one. It's a little closer to home. Southern's defensive end, Jordan Lewis, named the Buck Buchanan Award winner, the FCS Defensive Player of the Year. Congratulations to Jordan Lewis. Man, he's racking up the hardware in this off-season meaning after the spring season. Also, a special shout-out to Ethan Howard, freshman All-American, FCS freshman All-American. He's a tight end at Southern University. And then last but not least, Southern stays alive at the SWAC tournament baseball championship by beating, and I'll use that word, Beating, defeated, throw in the towel, 24-3. Now, that's not a football score. That is a baseball score, 24-3 over Prairie View A&M Panthers. Now, they meet today in an elimination game. And just to kind of give you something behind this ball game, coming into this game, PV had defeated Southern 5 out of 6. Then Southern's first loss in the tournament, a 2-1 loss to Prairie View A&M. So you can say Prairie View A&M has had Southern University's number, but the bats were out last night. Boy, I'm like, okay, it's getting late. This game, is it the run rule? Yes, in 7 innings, but 24-3. Now the big question is simply this. Some of you have expressed concern. That's about 4 or 5 games of offensive production in one game. What happens? Do you think that's it offensive for the Jaguars? It'll be interesting. But that's what's trending on the Carlos Brown Show. You can participate in the show. As always, the Carlos Brown Show Facebook Messenger page is open. If you care to leave a question or a comment, also across all social media platforms on Twitter, franchise_show, on Facebook, on Instagram, Carlos Brown Show. Also, if you feel that there's a need to participate financially in the Carlos Brown Show, you can do that. Cash App is open 24/7. Simply the Carlos Brown Show. Well, Lynn Thompson, and I was trying to get him on, and I still can get him on the show. He is leaving as Vice President of Intercollegiate Athletics at Bethune-Cookman. Here's what BCU Interim President Dr. Hiram Powell says. Lynn Thompson has contributed so much to the success, get that right, of our students and our Wildcat sports program. His professionalism and dedication to the mission of Bethune-Cookman University is nothing shy of remarkable. He has truly left our sports program poised and ready for future growth. I am grateful for all of his many contributions throughout the years. Of course, being on the NCAA Committee of Academics, he's also chaired MEAC basketball, softball, track and field, also NCAA baseball committee. He's going to be truly missed. Now, if you look at Bethune-Cookman, just in my humble opinion, now coming into the Southwestern Athletic Conference, July 1st, they have to replace now a vice president for intercollegiate athletics. They have an interim president, women's basketball coach, and men's basketball coach. Wow. What life is all in the timing, but we're going to hope that Bethune-Cookman will make a wise decision going forward and to fill all of those roles. Jennifer Lynn Williams, stepping down as AD at Alabama State, and I had the pleasure of having her on the show maybe less than a year ago. So that move surprises many in the HBCU community. She says, it has been a privilege to serve as the Director of Athletics, and I am thankful that President Ross gave me the opportunity to lead the department in 2018. I have thoroughly enjoyed working with our wonderful student athletes, staff, and coaches the past 4 years. She came to Alabama State in 2016 as Deputy Athletic Director. She served as interim AD from 2017 to 18 when she was named Director of Intercollegiate Athletics. Now, talking to some people, the move is to USA Basketball. You know, she has a basketball background, a player. So we wish the best for Ms. Williams, stepping down as Director of Athletics at Alabama State. And I had one more. Xavier University of Louisiana, wow, get it, announced Friday that Jason Horn, Assistant Vice President for Student Affairs, Director of Athletics and Recreation since 2014, has resigned to pursue other opportunities. We are extremely grateful for Jason's many contributions over the years, said Xavier Vice President for Student Affairs, Curtis Wright. Jason helped create systems and establish networks that have Xavier positioned to be a national powerhouse in NAIA athletics. I wish Jason the best of luck as he continues to make positive contributions in intercollegiate athletics. So you're going to have 3 positions that are open, and it'll come down to making the best decision. And it's going to be important to do that, to lead the athletic departments at those 3 mentioned universities. Defensive end Jordan Lewis, Buck Buchanan, named the FCS Defensive Player of the Year, among other awards. Ethan Howard, FCS All-American freshman, tight end from Southern University. And Jordan Lewis, and many of you have contacted me and asked, what do you think of his chances of making it to the next level, the NFL? I think he has an excellent opportunity, but we shall see if he gets that opportunity. It's all about an opportunity and getting drafted, and we know what has happened over the last few years. But to win a prestigious award named after former Grambling State player Buck Buchanan, that certainly is something that you have to look at and can't deny. But now going into the fall season with all these awards, you know, teams are now, not that they didn't scheme for him in the past, but now with the extra attention and the awards, you definitely have to know where Jordan Lewis is at all times on the football field. Last but not least, once again, Southern baseball 24-3 over Prairie View A&M in SWAC tournament action. Let me say good morning to Dr. Prince. And Dr. Prince, if I'm Prairie View, of course, you have to forget. You have to have a short memory. You got to get prepared today for a elimination game, and the winner advances to take on Jackson State. But good morning to you.
Good morning, sir, and how are you on this day? Well, I know how you're doing because you just saved the last baseball score for last before you introduced me, so I know you're feeling real good right now.
Well, feeling good because they stayed off elimination.
Yes, sir.
And now another elimination game, and it's so tough to come out of the elimination bracket and facing elimination, but they were able to do it. Now the question is, as I said in my opening, that was about 5, maybe 6 games of offensive production. Is there the thought in the back of your mind now that, wow, will they be able to get any more runs? Will the bats continue to be hot?
Well, the beauty about baseball is, unlike football and unlike basketball, in most cases, you get a chance to resurrect a poor performance and come back the very next day. And I like the position that Prairie View is in. You wanted to, if you could, have won on yesterday, have Kyle Smith on an extra day's rest to get ready to face off against Jackson State. But now, if he's not starting, he would be the first one coming out of the bullpen. My baseball lock is telling me. And you get a chance to say, hey, every now and then you're just going to have a bad day, just like in life. You get a chance to strap up and get it done. 24 runs, and I can guarantee you at some point of the game when the reality sets in that it's out of control, as a manager, you start focusing, okay, this is not the end of the world. We got another day to come back, and you start putting your rotation in your mind. You're telling your guys, hey, guys, just finish and fight through. Let's get through the night, and let's wake up with a fresh start on today, and let's show them, and I'm not, disrespecting anybody, that was a fluke. We're much better than what we showed tonight.
Yeah, well, the fluke is an interesting word, because I would have taken a 1-point victory, but the game was pretty much over early on. 24 runs, 21 hits. Even more impressive, no errors for Southern University. And Prairie View had a few. But from a mental standpoint, how do you feel if you're Southern? You just had a big victory, but I think in the same instance, you have to forget about last night as well.
Oh, no doubt.
And
focus
on getting the job done today.
Well, here's the beauty behind all of that. If you're going to lose in a tournament or any game, to be quite honest, you'd rather lose like this, because let's be honest, it was very important for both teams, but a little bit more weight on Southern to come out with this win because their backs were against the wall. However, if I'm going to lose a game, I'd rather get blown out than to lose a 1-run walk-off game or a close game, because now that can weigh on you leading into today's contest. So now, as you say, you go back, you analyze yourself as a ball player, you analyze yourself as a manager, and you say, you know what, this was that was this. Like we say, we got another day. This is baseball. Let's strap it up, and we got to do it all over again. And the outs are done. There are no more at-bats from yesterday. Everything is about today and moving forward.
Yeah, have a short memory.
Yes, sir. A very selective amnesia.
And total amnesia.
No, you don't want to have total. You don't want to have total amnesia, because one thing about history, you can't. Don't forget to remember. Now, do remember they blew you out, okay? But don't hold on to it to where it beats you twice, where you come in today defeated and overwhelmed about the blowout that you experienced on last night. You got to sweep that thing under the rug and let's go and get it. I can guarantee you that the guys had an anxiety night, not in a bad way, but in a good way, wanting to say, man, I can't wait to get back out here today so we can, right this wrong. I'm pretty sure that they had a light breakfast. There, I can guarantee, I believe the game starts at 3:00. I'm not real sure on the time, but I can guarantee you that they're going to be out at the park doing extra fungos, doing extra in and outs, doing extra batting practice and everything, and getting themselves mentally ready. Both teams, in that case, for today's contest.
Yeah, mental preparation, off your feet, kind of going over things in your mind, and then we look at pitching, and I always say it's quality, and then there's quantity. How does Prairie View pitching look now, preparing for if you win, you move on to the championship game. If you lose, you're going fishing.
Well, I'm really quite pleased with the pitching scenario for Prairie View right now, believe it or not. Now, we know that the ultimate goal is to get off and play against Jackson State on Championship Sunday. But today is Survival Saturday. And you cannot wait and hope that you make it to tomorrow. You must win today. So with that, I like the pitching availability to Prairie View in that compared to Southern, because Southern, coming through the losers bracket, they had to kind of get into that survival mode as well. But with the pitching rotation that Prairie View has, and there's still a few arms that could get them through the day. Now, if I'm managing, if I don't start Kyle Smith today, you can best believe that whoever starts in front of him are going to be on a very short hook. And the moment I can smell a hint of trouble coming or a log jam coming, I'm going to the bullpen to get Smith. Now, strategically speaking, if you can get Smith to give you 4-5 quality innings on today and you're able to weather the storm, he would still be available in a relief mode in the championship game against Jackson State. So I like my odds. Lux just, didn't have it on last night, but even he would be available because of the urgency in which both squads are in right now. So I'm loving the pitching scenario that Prairie View is coming in with on today's battle.
So we could almost say it's going to be, to a certain extent, pitching by committee if need be, because
yes, sir.
You got to win to advance. Of course,
right.
If you lose, that's your season. And then you mentioned about the bullpen. That is always so important in these type scenarios in a championship tournament. And so, if you have to go to the bullpen, can they give you the quality pitching to help you get through this game?
Well, the key is going to be if my starter can get me between 4 and 5 quality innings. And when I say quality innings, not a lot of strikeouts. And in fact, I don't want a lot of strikeouts. Why? Because that's going to be adding to my pitch count. But if I can get those pop flies or ground outs and, some short couple of pitches per batter, and if I'm Southern or if I'm Prairie View, the key today is to extend that pitcher, whoever they throw out there on the bump today, as much as possible. Don't help him out. And when I say help him out, swinging early in the count, you want him to throw as many pitches as he can to kind of weigh in on that pitch total count. And the strategy is going to be that of both ends. Now, as a ball player, you have to remain calm and don't get overzealous. Now, there's a code when it comes to baseball. Everybody gets one strike. The pitcher gets a strike, the umpire gets a strike, and the batter gets a strike, which simply means this. There's going to be a borderline pitch that you might not agree with that the pitcher is going to be in favor of. And then there's going to be a pitch that you don't agree with that the umpire thought was favorable toward the pitcher. And then there's your pitch as a hitter. When you get your pitch, you must execute. You can't foul tip it. And most guys, when you see a foul tip go straight back, what that is an indication of, the guy's timing was off by a hair. And that was probably the best pitch that he had available. When you miss your pitch, you're now at the mercy of that pitcher or the umpire's discretion.
And watching the game last night as well, I thought Southern did a great job of course, the batters I'm talking about, they were patient at the plate. Good selections, and also they stayed ahead of the count. And, boy, when they're ahead and he had to put it across the plate in a nice position, Southern took advantage of that. So just shocking in a way that they were able to pound out that many hits and get that many runs. But you can't expect another explosion like that offensively. I just don't see it today. And so they'll meet in an elimination game, Southern University and Prairie View, and them Panthers. The winner advances to the championship game against Jackson State. And then quickly, there have been some people who thought, well, hey, Jackson State, great season in the regular season, but guess what? The tournament is another deal. And they had one game in particular against Grambling State, who defeated them in a game, but it didn't count in the conference. It was a non-conference game. 13-1 lead by Jackson State. Boy, you can get ready. Okay, I'm going to get ready and go do something else. This game is over. And then you step away and you come back. It's 13-5, 13-6. And then Jackson State ekes out a 14-13 victory over Grambling State. Boy, what a ball game, Dr. Prince. What a game. So with that being said, going to take our first time out. When I come back, I'm scheduled a visit with the defensive coordinator at Southern University, Coach Lionel Washington. Of course, the name sounds familiar. A long, lustrous career in the NFL, then got into coaching. I wonder if it's more pressure playing in the NFL and playing football on both collegiate and the pro level to coaching now. He's coached at the FBS level and the FCS level. But Coach Lionel Washington will join me next here on the Carlos Brown Show. Take a quick time out. You're listening to the Carlos Brown Show on the Open Mic Broadcast Network.
Drivers and bicyclists both have the right to be on the road and travel safely. And when we're on the road together, safety is a shared responsibility. State law requires drivers to maintain at least 3 feet of clearance when passing bicyclists. And bicyclists should always ride with the direction of traffic and follow all traffic signals. It's safer. It's courteous. It's the law. A message from the Regional Planning Commission Pedestrian and Bicycle Program.
Ladies and gentlemen, in the next 7 years of bigger and bigger enrollments, America's grade schools will need nearly 250,000 extra teachers besides those to fill normal vacancies. This great need, plus the growing public interest in education and improvements in schools, make elementary school teaching a more rewarding career than ever, a career that high school and college students should certainly consider. Education holds America's future, perhaps your future.
The birth of legends are storied in this conference. We must never forget our rich history. We now turn our gaze to the future. The new legends will emerge. New heroes to arise. The Southwestern Athletic Conference. Be our history.
Brazos Valley Schools Credit Union has 13 different locations to better serve you. Locations in Rosenberg, Missouri City, Katy, College Station, Bryan, Brenham, and Waller, Texas. For more information, you can contact them on their toll-free number, 855-391-2149. Or you can send an email to information@bvscu.org.
Serving the community through faith and athletics. The Open Mic Broadcast Network.
Drivers and bicyclists both have the right to be on the road and travel safely. And when we're on the road together, safety is a shared responsibility. State law requires drivers to maintain at least 3 feet of clearance when passing bicyclists. And bicyclists should always ride with the direction of traffic and follow all traffic signals. It's safer. It's courteous. It's the law. A message from the Regional Planning Commission Pedestrian and Bicycle Program.
Broadcasters come into our lives on radio and TV, bringing us information and entertainment. Broadcasters are there for us, but who is there for them when they fall on hard times? The Broadcasters Foundation of America provides financial assistance to broadcasters in acute need due to a critical illness, accident, or other serious misfortune. If you know of a broadcaster on the air or behind the scenes who may need our help, please share our message. Visit broadcastersfoundation.org.
Nearly a century ago, 6 academic institutions joined each other in Houston, Texas to form a sturdy, spirited association. Since that time, they've developed to become one of the leading collegiate athletic associations in the world, the Southwestern Athletic Conference. From the southeastern region of the United States and Alabama to the second largest state in the country in Texas, the parishes of Louisiana through the Mississippi River, and the natural state of Arkansas, students from all over the world demonstrate the ability to perform, achieve, and excel in scholastic activities. Be a part of history. Be a part of the SWAC experience. Stand and be counted among the best in academics, athletics, music, stewardship. Create your world of contacts and friendships that last a lifetime. We are proud of our past and value our traditions. We will always carry a spirit of respect and competition. We are the Southwestern Athletic Conference. Honor the heritage.
Welcome back to this week's edition of the Carlos Brown Show, heard exclusively right here on the Open Mic Broadcast Network and Spreaker.com. Today's first guest, let me tell you a little bit about him, just briefly. Former Tulane Green Wave standout and longtime NFL player, and a native of nearby Lutcher, Louisiana. I happen to know where that's at. Played 15 seasons in the NFL as a defensive back, and was a secondary coach for 12 years following his retirement. Defensive coordinator, cornerbacks coach, I'm sure of defensive coordinator, now coordinator at Southern University. Coach Lionel Washington joins me. Coach Washington, good morning to you. Welcome to the Carlos Brown Show.
Good morning. Thanks for having me on.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you on. A long NFL career, then following that, you got into coaching and now at Southern University. Just talk about that transition from a player in NFL in a long career to getting into coaching.
Well, the transition was pretty easy for me simply because I was a coach on the football field. You know, I was one of the guys that always studied and wanted to know what my opponent's going to do to me, how you're going to try to affect me or beat me, you know, and I studied and had a game plan ready, besides the game plan the coach had given us for that week. So I always was prepared for my opportunity to take advantage of it, and that's the same way we're doing over at Southern University right now.
And now at Southern University, talk about that. You know, FCS level, you've coached on the FBS level at Tulane. Could you say football is still football no matter where you're playing and where you're coaching at?
Football, I agree totally. Football is football, no matter what level you play on. The athletes are different, but the game of football remains the same. It's the same as it was when it first started, as it's right now. You have evolved to certain things as far as the passing game, the hurry up offense and all that, but football is football. You got to block and you got to tackle. So whatever team does that better, it's going to 9 out of 10 times going to win the game.
And now, Coach, when we look at coaching on the defensive side, offenses have really developed and evolved over the years. Basically, to me, they're spreading you out and they're putting people in space. From a defensive standpoint, how did you have to adjust, and does it simply goes to being able to tackle in space and still fundamentally being sound?
Well, first of all, I think you got to get great athletes in order to play in space. And we have that over at Southern University. We have excellent athletes, and we have guys that can tackle in space. We got guys that understand, more importantly, what they are trying to do and how they're trying to attack us. So I think the game have evolved to that point where, you got to be able to play in space, tackle in space, and do a lot of other things. Because with that, playing in space, you have to be able to tackle the quarterback. Because now, anytime the quarterback get run, there's an extra gap that you have to fit for, be accounted for, and things like that. You just got to be able to have a game plan, have your players be able to execute that week in and week out. And I think once you get a real good understanding of what we're going to do, not so much what they're going to do offensively, but what we're going to do defensively, I think, and I know I should say, that we're going to be real competitive and we're going to always keep ourselves in the football game.
I'm visiting with Coach Lionel Washington, defensive coordinator at Southern University. And speaking of players, this past, I guess, couple of weeks, you know of a guy named Jordan Lewis, Buck Buchanan Award winner, defensive FCS Player of the Year, and there's other awards that we just it'll take a while to mention them. But talk about Jordan Lewis, not only Coach Washington, the player, but the person.
I'm going to talk about the person first because I think that's the most important thing. Jordan Lewis is a quiet young man. Understand what he want to do, understand what he's trying to accomplish. He's a hard worker, so we got to get him to work even harder this year because he got a flag on his back right now because he's one of the guys that you always got to give account for. So anytime you have a player of that status, you always got to give account for it. That means that you got to work harder because you are going to be that target for that week in and week out now. But I think he's a great athlete. He's a great competitor. So he's going to be one of those guys that's going to make sure that he's always going to be in the game, have a great understanding of how they're going to try to attack him, and he's going to play hard. The minute they let up, he's going to make a play. The minute they don't let up, he's still going to make a play. So that's good to tell you that Jordan Lewis is one of those rare football players that you get once in a lifetime as a football coach, and you get a chance to coach a kid like that. And I'm enjoying every minute of it. Our D-line coach and the rest of our coaches are enjoying it also. So anytime you get a guy like that, you want to give him enough praise, but yet at the same time keep him humble, keep him with a great understanding of what he needs to do and what he still needs to accomplish.
Coach, he's a pass rush specialist, and help me out, Coach. When I look at him, I know he was a track and field star in high school, the hurdles. Just a tremendous athlete. Do you now move him around somewhat? And then also, I kind of look at him as a hybrid. Help me out. I mean, I think of him more as a linebacker, but he's a defensive end. Help me out.
You guys don't see what we see at practice.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, even in game situation, he's doing things that sometimes it's like, no, he just didn't do that. He can get out and play in space and cover wide receivers on the field. He can cover running backs out of the backfield. And this year, we're going to do a lot more of that. I'm not going to give nothing away what we're going to do this year, but we're going to do some things to emphasize his talent. You know what I mean? So that's one of those things that hey, we'll meet for a cup of coffee later on to talk about it.
well, Coach Washington, watch it. That the producer's a Prairie View A&M grad, so he's got a hotline to Coach Dooley.
I got it covered. I'm not gonna give him too much, but you know what? They know already. They got to make a game plan for him also. So that's even better for us because anytime you got to get one guy. What about the other team we have on the field also that are pretty good football players also? He's not doing it by himself out there. He's a big part of it, but he got 10 other kids that are doing well also on that football field. So, also we've got coaches that are doing a great job for us right now. We got Coach Charlotte Aero, who's our linebacker coach. Darren Drago just brought in this year. He's going to be our D-line coach. Blake Yurloff is our safety grad assistant coach. And we got Rashad Pierre is going to work with me with the cornerbacks. So anytime you get a football team, especially defensively, is doing well, it's not about the coordinator, it's about the defensive staff. And I think once we put things together, we come together, now we got to be able to go in and teach it to our players so they can go on the field and execute it. And we got to execute it with discipline, hard work, and that's a great understanding of how we're going to do things. And I think that's what we have right now. That's where we are right now. Even from the spring to now, I think we got better. And we just got to continue to grow in that sense. And if we can do that, man, we're gonna be pretty special this year.
I'm visiting with Coach Lionel Washington, defensive coordinator at Southern University. We're talking about Jordan Lewis, and I'll finish up with one last question about Jordan Lewis. And this question, Coach, we've talked about everything that he's done and his accomplishment. Is there anything that perhaps Jordan Lewis has to work on to get better in?
Yes. He got to work on his overall game. He got to get better at everything he's doing well right now, because there's going to be a time when he's going to meet a kid that's going to be athletic, more athletic than him, more physical than him. I won't be as fast, but he's going to be in the part where he plays that left tackle position or right tackle position. Those guys are going to be in a position where they're going to be able to block him. So you got to find out, continue to get better in every phase of the game. I think more importantly, you got to get better mentally. You got to understand how he's going to affect guys in the way that we're going to do. How are we going to put him in position to make plays? And he's got to go out and do it. Sometimes he's going to do things that sometimes the coach don't want him to do, but he make things happen. And which all you can do is say, man, be careful, but great play. And that's the type of kid he is. That's the type of player he is also.
Coach, we've been talking about Jordan Lewis. I could think about Ivy at the other end, linebackers. You had some players that didn't play in the spring that will be available to you in the fall. Can you talk about your expectations for this defense going into the fall?
I'm gonna talk about my expectation, and more importantly, I'm gonna have to give some shout out to some of the other kids also. Like you just mentioned, Ivy. Ivy's one of our hardest workers. He's our leader on defense. Chase Foster was named to All-American football team this year. Jacoby Papillon, he got hurt in our first game. He played well for us when he was there. He's one of our leaders. And also Tamara Smith is one of our exceptional corners that I made all conference last year, and I think second team or third team this year. So we got guys that in position that can get the job done. We just got to go out and I think bring the rest of the guys with us. The guys that got to come in and be a role players, those guys got to come in and be able to execute their job when they're on the football field. And we can put that together defensively and get our guys to understand what it's all about and understand where the prize is and what we're playing for. I think that's the most important thing, because every week is going to be different. Every opponent is going to be different. No matter how you look at it, each week is going to bring on a different challenge, and that's what we got to get better at. Understanding who we're playing each week and be able to switch on and take it up to the next level. And I think that's part of coaching also. So we got to get these guys every week ready to play at a high level, practice at a high level, and do all the necessary things that we need. And I said necessary, what I mean is the little things. Take care of the little things. If we can do that, man, we're going to be a special football team.
I'm visiting with Coach Lionel Washington, defensive coordinator at Southern University. Coach, now Coach Odom's moving on to Norfolk State. I had a chance to interview Coach Rollins 2 weeks ago. From a program standpoint, it seems continuity will still be there. Talk about Coach Rollins and your special relationship with Coach Rollins and the rest of the staff.
Coach Rollins, man, he and I go way back. When I first started coaching in the league, I got a chance to meet him. I went back to visit at Tulane University, and I met him during that time. And our relationship grew from that point on and continued to grow each time or each year. You know, and we finally got a chance to work together when I came back and accepted the DC job over at Tulane University. But Coach Rollins is a great leader. He has a great understanding of defense and offense. He's going to put our guys in position on and off the field to be excellent football players, excellent young men. And that's the type of guy he is. You know, he always wants excellence from his players and coaches. And he assembled a great coaching staff also, man. And that's one of the things that a lot of people take for granted. Your coaching staff is the heartbeat of what's going on inside. When the players on the field, it's all up to them. But at the same time, we as coaches, man, we've got to get it done. But Coach Rollins has put together an excellent coaching staff, and he's that type of guy that he's gonna get it done, and he's gonna let you coach the way that he sees fit, and also how you see fit. So the thing about it, man, he deserved the job. He got it. So we just got to go out and win right now.
Coach, you mentioned earlier about D-line when I got a question for the listener. He said, ask Coach about the D-line depth if you can. And then you mentioned a new defensive line coach you're bringing in?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What is his background?
Darren Drago, coached with Coach Riley at UTSA. He's a Baton Rouge native. He's a technician if there ever was one. We interviewed him for a job when we were at Tulane together also.
Okay.
So we both know the guy very well. He and Jason coached together, so of course there's a relationship there. And when he interviewed for the job, I knew right away I got a chance to work with him again for the second time, so we couldn't pass him up because he's going to be exactly what our young kids need, a shot in the arm, because he's full of energy. He understands exactly what you want and how you want to do it. He can go out and make sure that those guys can go out and execute from X and O standpoint. And he's quite a disciplinarian. So that part of it is always going to be good. The big guys up front, they got to be disciplined football players and also on and off the field. And that's what he's going to bring to the staff. So that's going to be a spot. Hopefully we can get even better at, because we played pretty good last year, but we got to get better this year.
Yeah, because I was going to ask about the spring season and the improvement that was made there. But let me go back to what the listener asked. Ask Coach about the D-line depth, if you can.
I'm talking about the depth. Oh, the depth is there. You know, we got a lot of young guys that played sparingly last year, and they've gotten better. So we got depth at the defensive line. We're 2 deep, and sometimes in certain spots we're 3 deep. So we're going to be able to play all these kids, because the D-line, you always want to be able to rotate, keep fresh body on the field at all times. So our depth is going to be real good. It's going to be better than it was last year.
I'm visiting with Coach Lionel Washington, defensive coordinator at Southern University. Coach, a word has been mentioned a lot, and that's expectations. As a staff, do you talk about the expectations and how to meet those expectations? How is it important expectations?
Expectations is what we're going to base this year on. You know, everybody expects us to win. We expect to win. The players expect to win. So what we got, of course, the fans expect us to win also. So we got to go out and do, I talked about it earlier, we got to take care of the little thing. We got to continue to grow as a football team. We got to grow as young football players and young men, and also as young coaches. So we got to be able to put ourselves and put our players in great position to make plays, because everybody's going to be looking at us. Everybody's going to be looking at us. Everybody will expect us to win. And more importantly, we expect to win more than anybody else, because as coaches, we are there with these kids every day. And as players, I know those guys, every time they hit the football field, they expect to win. So everything is to the ceiling right now with us. And we understand that part of as a football team and as players and as coaches. So what our everything basis is going to be is we got to make sure every day we find a way to get better at something. And we as coaches got to make sure they follow our lead and the thing that we're trying to get them accomplished day in and day out. And once we do that, then you're going to see that on the football field also.
I'm visiting with Coach Lionel Washington, defensive coordinator at Southern University. Now, Coach, I know you can't give away too much information because, again, you never know who's listening. But is there something, Coach, that we can maybe look to see that will be just a little bit different with this defensive scheme and philosophy? I know the bulk of it is, you want continuity. But is there something that you maybe can tell us that we can look at something a little bit differently?
Yes, I can tell you this. We're going to play faster. We're going to play harder. And we're going to play with our hair on fire. I know all these cliche things what I'm talking about right now, but I think the most important thing, the thing you're going to really see different is the way we play, our attitude about the whole approach of everything. Because we had guys talk to us, especially our leaders, came in and talked to us as a defensive staff, and they said, hey, we could have or should have won this year, but we didn't. Mm-hmm. So our goals now is to go out and win. We know what it's going to take. They're telling us this. They know what it's going to take. So anytime you get players coming in, and I think when you get your leaders, the leaders have talked to the rest of the team, so they know. Everybody know what our expectations are. Everybody know what we need to win. We got to win. So when you get that part of it, guys, you're going to have guys coming in, working their butts off and doing whatever it's going to take for us to be successful on and off the field. I mean, academics also. So that's the most important thing, because without academics, we won't have these kids on the field. So it's a broad spectrum of things that we got to make sure we keep our hands on and keep these guys locked in so we can all be successful at the same time. And we got the greatest fans in the country. I can believe that with all my heart.
Yeah, well, hopefully now, and I've asked every coach that's come on, coaching in a pandemic, that had to be really a special challenge for you guys, right, Coach?
It was because, I'm the oldest coach on the staff, so I wanted to make sure that I, stayed healthy. So it meant that I had to make sure I always covered up and take my mask, use my sanitizer and all that good stuff. And our players did an excellent job also. Those guys did a great job. We had one or two guys that test positive, but for the most part, man, we had guys that were doing what they're supposed to do. And it showed on the football field. Our last 3 or 4 games, these guys played with great intensity. They came off, they took care of themselves off the field. So anytime you have that type of camaraderie with your players and coaches, it's always going to be a carryover, because that's what we got to do. The next 3 months, we got to kick it back up, because 4 months after that, 4 more months, we'll be starting up again. So we got to make sure that we're ready to go during that time.
And, Coach, of course, I know you guys look at film, you've broken down what happened last year, and then looking forward. How about the addition of FAMU and Bethune-Cookman? Of course, you're going to play FAMU this year, but I'm sure you guys are familiar with those coaches.
Yeah, we're all familiar with it. We played them about a year ago, and
yeah,
they got a good football team, man. And that's each week. It's not going to be a cakewalk at all. Everybody you play this year is going to be real competitive. So we got to get the fans to come out and back us and show their support, because we're gonna make it work this year. And anytime you got a great challenge like that, defensively, you just got to step up and play and face that challenge week in and week out. I think we got the players and coaches that can go out and accept that challenge and really be competitive week in and week out.
And of course, Coach, a nemesis. That's the only way I can put it. Coming up now, moving over to the Western Division, and that's Alcorn State. And trust me, Coach, I hear from Alcornites all the time. They love playing Southern University, but now you'll have them in the West. How do you feel about that as a coaching staff?
As the coaching staff, we know that they're earmarked on our calendar. They got to start on our calendar. So we got to make sure that we're not going to overlook nobody else we play, but that game is always going to be a big-time game for us. So they had our number the last couple of years since I've been here. So we got to find a way to reverse that, change that, and then that's what we've been working on. That's what we've been working on since day one, trying to find a way to change it. And this is going to be the year. I know if I say anything differently, then everybody's going to think I'm crazy, but I know this is going to be the year, because that's just the way I think our kids going to approach it this year. We're going to take a little different spin on it. And I'm not going to tell you what type of spin we're going to take on it, but right now it's going to be different. I'll tell you that much. It's going to be different.
Yeah. And Coach, I love Alcorn State coming to the West, because, you don't run from a team that has had your number. But I will say this, Coach, my birthday is October the 30th, 29th. Look at that. I got that wrong, Coach. And so that following Saturday, what an excellent birthday present that could be for me. That's just a little selfish part of my part, Coach.
Also, that's for both of us there.
You're a good man. You're a good man.
We're gonna make it happen and we'll celebrate together.
Oh, just say it. Just say it. I would be happy on that. Coach, last but not least, is there anything you would like to, in our closing, tell to the Jaguar Nation about this upcoming 2021 football season?
I just want to say this: keep believing, keep trusting. We're gonna go out and get the job done. Go Jags.
All righty. Appreciate the time, Coach Washington. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. You and your family continue to be safe and be blessed.
Thank you very much. You also.
All right. Thank you. And was Coach Lionel Washington, defensive coordinator at Southern University, joining me today on the Carlos Brown Show. And I'm going to put forth the effort to try to get as many coaches on the staff that I can on the show. And it's a good thing to be able to talk with them and hear them, because you didn't have the opportunity to really, in my opinion, to hear them the past couple of years. So expectations, we talked about that. He understands that expectations are high. They expect to win. And, you know, I've said this last couple of weeks that the roster is built for a championship. And then I've had some people to try to really pencil me in about what if they don't win a championship? What if they do? 50-50 there. And I was talking to some people this past week. I'll be honest. I'm ready to, if it was up to me, you go ahead and pencil it in, and unless there's just a drastic fall off, you go ahead and give Coach Rollins and them benefit of the doubt and give them an extension. Go ahead and do it. But expectations are high. We talked about Jordan Lewis, and still, as much as he's done, it's not just about him. It's a team effort, but there is some things that he has to work on to get better. I mean, I guess you could say that about every player, every coach, every year. But it was interesting to talk to Lionel Washington. I believe this may be the first time I've heard him on anybody's radio show, television show. So it's good to get to hear from him. Last week it was Coach Grossi. The week before that was Coach Rollins. So now I got to look at getting someone else from that staff. And I've also been asked to bring back on Coach Woods, Coach Fonchez, and Coach Crenshaw when their season is over. So what do you think? What did you think about Coach Washington? So I'll take a quick timeout. When I come back, it'll be more of the Carlos Brown Show on the Open Mic Broadcast Network.
We are the SWAC. Our heritage lifts us to great heights, because my history is forged by trailblazers. That motivates me today to focus on my future. We are the SWAC. We are the new trailblazers. And this is my heritage.
Back to this week's edition of the Carlos Brown Show, heard exclusively right here on the Open Mic Broadcast Network and Spreaker.com. Well, I'll tell you, some of the comments coming in. Raymond says, ask Coach if he has figured out how to defeat Alcorn. Well, I tried to bring that up in a certain way. He said that it will be different this year. They're going to add something a little bit different. They can figure out how to defeat Alcorn State. I need to do something right quick. I apologize, and let's take a quick timeout once again. I'll be back. You're listening to the Carlos Brown Show.
Sports will travel. The Open Mic Broadcast Network serving student athletes from Little League, high school, and collegiate coverage right here on the Open Mic Broadcast Network. From coast to coast, from dusk till dawn. You can catch all student athletic action right here at the Open Mic Broadcast Network, the station designed with you in mind. Serving the community through faith and athletics, the Open Mic Broadcast Network, the voice of student athletics.
Hello, this is Alonzo Hardy Jr., the president of the SWAC Alumni Association. The SWAC Alumni Association is an organization founded on December 10, 1999, at the Sheraton Hotel in Birmingham, Alabama. Its mission is to serve as a rallying ground for individuals who have made the Southwestern Athletic Conference the illustrious conference that it is today. Its membership is open to former student athletes who played in the conference in any sport, as well as to coaches, athletic administrators, staff members, game officials, and fans. Annually, the association holds a Legends Awards and Roast Banquet or luncheon where it honors individuals with Lifetime Achievement Awards, a Chuck Prophet Wagon Master Award, and occasionally a Distinguished Service Award. Proceeds from that event help to finance degree completion scholarships for student athletes who have exhausted their playing eligibility at SWAC universities, but who may still need an extra semester or two to complete their college studies. For more information on the SWAC Alumni Association, or to get information on becoming a member, you can send correspondence to SWAC Alumni Association, 875 Miller Creek Lane, Newport News, Virginia, 23602. The email address is swacalumuniassociation@yahoo.com.
Never let anyone devalue or underestimate your hard work and dedication. Many times we hear people say, wow, you're lucky. I wish I was as lucky as you were. I've learned something about the word luck. It's not necessarily one having luck, be it good or bad. It's about how a person applies the life lessons learned to their next assignment or challenge that lies ahead. We all are faced with challenges. We all have obstacles. We all have days that we wish we could have stayed in bed. The bottom line is, you take what's in front of you, work with what you've got until your change comes. The next time someone tries to tell you that you're walking around in this wealth of luck, it's okay to smile and accept it. But if you remember nothing else, remember this. Luck is spelled L-U-C-K, which stands for labor under correct knowledge. And when you labor under the correct knowledge, more than likely, you will come out ahead of whatever situation is laid before you. This has been another Moment with Mike. Thank you for tuning in. You guys be blessed, and we'll see you on the other side.
Welcome back to this week's edition of the Carlos Brown Show, heard exclusively right here on the Open Mic Broadcast Network and Spreaker.com. Today's first guest in hour number 2, he's the coach. Coach Van Pettaway joins me. Coach, good morning to you, sir.
Hey, good morning, Carlos. It's great to be above ground again.
Well, you can say that again. It has been a hellacious week here in the Deep South, and Louisiana has not been spared as far as the rain. And wow, it's Coach, you never get used to this type of weather, although you've been here all your life and you see it each year. But it seems like it's been more intense the last 4 or 5 years. I'm a firm believer that there is a thing called global warming, climate change. Wow.
And so you all are getting all the rain. We need some of that rain up this way so I don't have to turn the sprinkler system on.
Wow. Well, as I've been watching the SWAC baseball tournament in Madison, Alabama, boy, what a difference. A beautiful, beautiful days for baseball, and then down here you got to learn how to do the backstroke.
Right. I think the SWAC, they hit a home run when they picked that park, Toyota Field. I had an opportunity to go out the first day of the SWAC tournament, and the facility is first class. I think the people in the SWAC should be able to pat themselves on the back because they have given those young men an opportunity to play in a first class facility. Not to say that they haven't done it in the past. I'm just saying that this is one that I have personally seen that is outstanding.
Yeah. Of course, watching it from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, SWAC Digital Network. So I've enjoyed the 2021 baseball tournament. And Coach, your Alabama A&M baseball squad, they were able to make it in the tournament, but 0-2.
Right.
But it's something to build on. Something to build on.
That first game, the starting pitcher, he gave up that home run. Other than that, any other thing that any trouble he got into, he was able to pitch himself out of it. And when we went to our bullpen, the floodgates opened up, and they were not able to recover against Grambling. So I think I like the direction that our program is headed in, and they just got to keep picking at that rock.
Yeah. Well, a game today, Southern University and Prairie View A&M. Coach, I said enough on that score from last night in the first part of the show, so I don't feel a need to harp on that. It's an elimination game now today, Southern and Prairie View. The winner goes on to face Jackson State, who quite simply, they had one tough ball game, one where they were winning by a large number, and then they had to hold on for dear life.
Right.
Such is the case in the tournament. You never know. Everyone is 0-0. And speaking of tournaments, Coach, you have the opportunity now to convince me, or you may feel the same way. Are you just a bit puzzled about, and then I'm going to switch gears to the NBA, the tournament play-in? Why did they decide to do that? Is it going to be a one-year situation because of maybe the pandemic? I don't know.
I think they're gonna keep it for a while because remember they started it last year, and I think what it does, it makes them make every game count. Toward the end of the season, you're resting a lot of starters and stuff, but now that they have a reason to play, because they get extra money for being in the playoff, so that's one incentive. And then I guess the other incentive comes from their heart, where they just want to win the next game that they're in. And we've seen some great games. I mean, you think about the Lakers and their game. Then you look at last night how the Warriors got sent home. So the teams have something to play for. Memphis, they jumped out on them and on the Warriors. And then, of course, they took the game to overtime, and they were able to win it. So sent Steph Curry home for the summer. And I know a lot of people didn't expect that to happen because the Warriors were playing well down the stretch. But this, I think this year is wide open. I don't think there's a clear-cut favorite. The Lakers are backing their way into the playoffs, but they got a nice bracket now if they can get past Phoenix. If they get past Phoenix, Phoenix is a 2 seed. The Lakers came in as a 7 seed, and then in the same bracket you got Denver and Portland. But that top bracket now, Memphis did a good job by winning their game last night, but now they got to go out to Utah. That's a tough place to play because they have shown all year that they're the best team in the NBA. So Memphis got their hands full, and then of course the Clippers got Dallas, and when you look at the Dallas team, that's going to be a tough matchup for the Clippers because Kawhi, they got to come out and play every night, or else they're going to get upset. And I know a lot of people are looking forward, hoping that the Lakers and the Clippers could play in the conference championship, but I don't know if the Lakers are going to have enough left in their tank. Now, LeBron and Davis coming off those injuries, you can say, well, they got rest, but really they had to put their bodies through a lot in terms of rehab to get back. So their timing is still off a little bit. So the West is up in the air. I'm saying this, if the Lakers can pull off beating the number 2 seed, I think they'll end up being a team to beat in the West. Now, in the East, it's a little different. I thought Philadelphia played well the entire season. You know, Embiid and Simmons, they got that ball club rolling, and they'll face off against Washington, the Wizards, on tomorrow. And then you got the number 2 seed is Brooklyn. They're going to play Boston, and I expect them to take care of Boston because Kyrie is going against his old ball club. And if those 3 guys can come together, I think they'll create a lot of havoc on the east side. And then the number 3 seed is Milwaukee. And you still got Giannis. They have a better ball club this year, but they're going up against Miami again. And Miami is playing well down the stretch. So they play defense. They really get after people. So you know they're going to always be in the game because of their defense. And then 4 versus 5. That's the Knicks versus Atlanta. 2 surprise teams. The Knicks, they have done an outstanding job this year. Julius Randle has shown everybody that he's ready to make that next step up, and he's doing a great job. So that's going to be a great series, 4 versus 5. Atlanta, you know, they got all the young bloods on that Atlanta team. So this year's playoff is going to be real interesting. So I think it's going to keep us on the edge of our seats. And then the 2 games today on the east side will be Milwaukee versus Miami, and then Brooklyn will play Boston later on tonight. So the playoffs are here. Now, no one has any excuses. They got to roll up their sleeves and play.
0-0.
Yep.
Interesting. Knicks and the Hawks.
Yep.
Don't have a lot of playoff experience or successful experience, but then I look at the 2 coaches, Coach McMillan for Atlanta, did a great job coming in, and Coach Thibodeau at the Knicks. Could one say coaching has really proven to be a huge benefit for those 2 clubs
in the NBA this year? Because when you look at it, you look out at Phoenix. He's done an outstanding job out there. Then you go up to Utah. Coach K's disciple has done an outstanding job. So the coaches have really, and I think that to me, the biggest turnaround has been the Knicks. I don't think anybody before the season expected the Knicks to be where they are until he brought in a different mentality. You know, he starts on the defensive end.
Yeah.
And I think when he came in and he implemented his system, those guys have bought into it. And all they got to do is give him some time now. Because he's won everywhere he's gone, and he's always done it with defense. You know, he's from the old school. He wants his best offensive players to play defense also.
Yeah, that is going to be interesting. And Brooklyn in the East, you know, on paper, you know, you got 3
all
future Hall of Famers, and they haven't played any extended period of time together. But you listen to the prognosticators, you listen to a lot of people. It basically, they're looking at Brooklyn to make it to the finals. But I think Philadelphia is a dangerous club. Although, look, they've been consistent all year. Is it easier or harder in a way? You tell me, Coach.
I think
when you have that much talent to be able to meet expectations and to coach a team like that.
Right. Okay. They've got 3 in Brooklyn's case now. They got 3 super players that their games are predicated on the perimeter play. So now, when you look at a team like Brooklyn and then you take a team like Philadelphia, as long as Embiid is playing big, in other words, if he's dominating in the paint, that's gonna be a tough matchup for Brooklyn, because they don't have, all they got is DeAndre Jordan that could even come close to staying with Embiid if he's in the paint. But now if Embiid wants to play on the perimeter, anybody can beat Philadelphia. But I think Doc Rivers has done an outstanding job by getting Embiid to not play on the perimeter as much, and to go to that low post game, because when he's in that paint, there's nobody in the NBA can stop him. He's got so much. He's got so many different weapons once he gets in that paint. He does an outstanding job. He's got a great footwork, and he has the power. So he's got a big upside when it comes to the lane. So if he stays in the lane, that'll create problems. Brooklyn, everything is off the dribble. Kyrie Irving, as they say, he's the showstopper. He's the guy that people want him. He sells tickets. Durant, when he's on, he is by far the best, the tallest shooter that can score consistently from the perimeter that's in the NBA, for his height.
Right.
Shooting from the perimeter. But the person that makes them gel and go is James Harden. He sacrificed his game more than any other person that's on that team. Because on the other teams that when he came from Houston, he put big numbers on the board because he kept the ball in his hand. Since he's been in Brooklyn, he's sharing the basketball. That was the big thing when the three of them decided to come together. But he has shown that he's willing to be a team player, and I think he's done an outstanding job when he was on the floor. But once again, he's coming off a big injury, and you don't know what kind of game shape he's going to be in, or if those injuries will come back into play. But that's why I say this is a toss-up this year. I don't think there's a clear favorite on either side.
I'm visiting Coach Van Pettaway here on the Coles Brown Show, and it's interesting you talk about Harding and sacrificing his game. He's been to some finals before, right. But I think it may be the case of, hey, I have to sacrifice something because I've got that itch. Right. That is to win a championship. And then, Coach, let me just ask you bluntly, Milwaukee, they're favored in this series, and I believe they'll get it done. It pains me to say this. But if, for some instance, Milwaukee doesn't get to the finals, or if they lose in the first round, do you blow this team up? You've made some moves, but the Greek Freak will still be there. But do you have to, dissect this team afterwards if they fail to at least get to the championship,
right?
The finals?
To me, if they don't make it to the championship, it's time to make some moves with that roster. You can't. They cannot keep expecting Giannis to take them to the promised land, and he's going 1-on-5. That the teams have learned to stack the deck when he has the basketball and to prevent him from driving. And in the past, they're saying that he has not had enough help. He's got more than enough help. It's just that, to me, the scheme of putting him at the top of the key with the basketball, when all they got to do is build a wall and it could prevent him from getting into the paint and making those layups. So I think personnel-wise, they need a couple of extra players, but at the same time, I think offensively, they need to look at how they attack and how they use Giannis. I think he needs to be posted more on the high post and the low post to take advantage of his talents. Because I think once he's in the paint, there's not many people that can stop him. His problem is getting to the paint when they set the wall up. But if they do not make it to the championship, to the finals, the conference championship, then I think they need to take a hard look at that roster.
And the same question I'll put to you about the Clippers. You know, there's one thing to get past the Lakers, but you got to get there.
Right.
To see, and there's been a lot of conversation. Coach Lou in his first year, but if the Clippers, if they don't make it to the championship or even to the finals of the Western Conference, do you consider adding an addition and subtracting from that program?
Well, yeah, I think they're gonna have to look at that roster if they can't make it. See, what they need to be looking at when LeBron went to Miami, they didn't win it in their first year. They didn't win the championship in their first year, but the second year together, they did win the championship, and that's what the Clippers need to be looking at. This is their second year together. They got to win. That's why I really don't expect Brooklyn to win in their first year, because those guys are just not coming together for the first season. You give them another season under the belt, I think Brooklyn will be okay. But in the Clippers' case, they've had their time, and if they don't get it done this season, yeah, you need to break that up.
So, Coach, put you on the spot here. It's all fun. It's all fun.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand what you've been saying, that it's a toss-up. But who comes out of the East?
I'm gonna be honest. My money is gonna be on Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. And it's only because of Embiid. I don't think to me he's a matchup nightmare for the other teams in the East. And if he plays big, the coach is there. Doc Rivers is a proven winner. He's a championship coach, so he knows what it takes. And if he can get Embiid to stay in that paint, I think they can come out. They can survive the East.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it'll go 7 games. Now they're definitely not gonna sweep anybody, and I don't think they're gonna beat anybody in 5. So I think it'll be a 7-game series. Whoever they match up against, I'm hoping to see number 1 versus 2, and that would be Philadelphia versus Brooklyn. And I still think that Embiid, because of his size, will be the difference in that game.
Yeah.
And then in the West, I'm telling you right now, if they mess around and let LA get past Phoenix, it's a wrap. I think they'll repeat. Because what this will show is that they can extend those series and get their timing down, because LeBron has missed so many games and Davis has missed so many games. If they get that rhythm going, LA would be a tough out. And I think Phoenix is aware of that, and they're going to have to play. But I don't see how they can match up with it. Now, Chris Paul is doing a great job out there. They got a great wing player in I think it's Gordon, I think it is. But after that, they don't have anybody that's going to be able to stay with Davis.
And to me, Coach,
and then now you got Drummond too to help rebound.
And I really look at it. To me, this poses nightmare problems, even if he's not 100%, but at 100%. Anthony Davis, he's long, he's athletic, he can shoot from the perimeter, he can go inside. And so I hear a lot of the national heads talking about Davis versus LeBron. And here's what I mean by that. If LeBron is out from, say, a series, what will be the impact? If Davis is out a series or more, what will be the impact? You see what I'm saying, Coach?
Right.
Out of those two, to me, well, I'll let you answer first. Go ahead.
Well, I think you're right. I think Davis, okay, LeBron sets the table for everybody else. Davis, to me, is a difference maker because he can score inside, he can score outside. Then you turn around and look at how he affects people on the defensive end.
Yeah.
So they have proven that they can win a few games without LeBron. I mean, they have an overall losing record, but that was because Davis was out in some of those games too. So to me, Davis is the key for LA.
Yeah.
LeBron is a table setter, but Davis is the one that'll take him to the promised land. And then I think out in Phoenix, you got Aiden. I don't think he can handle Davis. I don't think he can handle Davis. That's why I'm saying that Phoenix has to be very careful, even though they're the 2 seed. And I just think that if the Lakers can get by Phoenix, they'll take care of the winner between Denver and Portland for the same reason, that they don't have a matchup for Davis.
So you have a potential Philly and Lakers. There's some history there.
Oh, yeah.
In the finals. Okay.
Correct.
I got it marked down here in the old brain computer.
Mm-hmm.
And I better write it down as well. Because, sometimes the mind is not as sharp as it used to be.
Yep, we all know that. We all know that.
Yeah. Well, Coach, it's going to be interesting. A slew of games today.
Yep.
Miami, Milwaukee on ESPN, Dallas and the Clippers on ESPN, ABC, Boston and Brooklyn, and then ESPN, the late night game, Portland and Denver.
Yep.
Coach,
yep.
You enjoy the rest of your weekend, and hopefully soon you'll give us a fishing report. I'm sure the weather's been great.
Yep, we're scheduled to go to the Gulf this weekend, and then I just got a text this morning saying that our accommodations have not been confirmed. So my deep sea fishing trip is up in the air for next Saturday.
Oh no!
Yep.
Oh, no.
We can always reschedule. We just try to get out the first day of snapper season. See, here in Alabama, the red snapper is a seasonal fish for us in terms of going out to get them. And we normally try to go out that first day, and we've been doing this for years. Last year was the only time that we haven't done it, I would say, in the last 8 or 9 years. So we'll get it in. We'll just have to go later in the year because everybody's trying to get out. And I think the other thing that hurt us, this fell on Memorial Day weekend too. So that's messing us up. So we'll see. But yeah, you will get a fishing report because it's time.
Well, Coach, of course, I'm a Louisiana native. You know how many ways people in Louisiana can make a recipe out of redfish?
Oh, yeah.
Snapper.
Redfish and red snapper. Yep.
So if you feel something moves your spirit to get me some of that red snapper, I'll show you how many ways the franchise can eat that red snapper.
That's all right. We're going to have to try to make that happen.
Yeah. Boy, I tell you what, I had some snapper in the freezer and forgot about it and took care of it. Put it on the grill.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know frozen fish that long could be that tasty.
Yep.
I guess it's all in the spices.
Oh, yeah.
That's one thing Louisiana can do, and that's tourism and culture and food. If not anything else, we can get it done.
Yep.
Well, we will talk again soon, Coach. Oh, by the way, Edwin says, tell Coach to dress out in Columbia blue and gold today as we face the Panthers for the right to face the Tigers.
Okay. All right. All righty then. Oh, the shots have been fired. All right.
Well, I'm always worried about games. I'm concerned. And believe it or not, scoring 24 runs is a lot. You can't expect a duplication of that.
Yep. I don't think that's going to happen.
No.
Yep. Not again. Well, it's great. I might get a chance to go get out there today because I got up early this morning. I'm through with my yard work, so I think I might have a free pass this afternoon. Oh, yeah, it's out the way.
Well, Coach.
Thank you. And
you enjoy. We'll talk again
I sure
soon.
will, man. All right. Thank you. Everybody stay safe and God bless. Bye-bye.
Yes, sir. That was Coach Van Pettaway here on the Coles Brown Show, and even got in a semi-fishing report. But red snapper is some good fish. redfish, snapper. Expensive, but very good. Gonna take a time out. When I come back, I'll visit with Charles Edmond. He is on his way home finally. After he's been on the road 2-3 weeks. My goodness. But he called some games for the Swag Digital Network. Not only baseball, but softball as well. We'll get his perspective on what is taking place, what will happen going Sunday. Who will it be? Will it be Jackson State versus Prairie View A&M Panthers? Or will it be Jackson State versus Southern University? Prairie View and Southern today for the right to get to the championship game. Win, or you go home, or you'll be going fishing. Alabama A&M, Alabama State. Wow. What about that? Alabama State. Charles Edmond really thought they were going to make some noise. Well, they had, and they didn't talk about it on the broadcast, but had some COVID cases. They were not at full strength. But still, you have to give credit where credit is due. The teams, Southern University and Alcorn, brought them home. So we'll talk about that and much more. You're listening to the Carlos Brown Show on the Open Mic
Drivers and
Broadcast
bicyclists
Network.
both have the right to be on the road and travel safely. And when we're on the road together, safety is a shared responsibility. State law requires drivers to maintain at least 3 feet of clearance when passing bicyclists. And bicyclists should always ride with the direction of traffic and follow all traffic signals. It's safer. It's courteous. It's the law. A message from the Regional Planning Commission Pedestrian and Bicycle Program.
Broadcasters come into our lives on radio and TV, bringing us information and entertainment. Broadcasters are there for us, but who is there for them when they fall on hard times? The Broadcasters Foundation of America provides financial assistance to broadcasters in acute need due to a critical illness, accident, or other serious misfortune. If you know of a broadcaster on the air or behind the scenes who may need our help, please share our message. Visit broadcastersfoundation.org.
Nearly a century ago, 6 academic institutions joined each other in Houston, Texas to form a sturdy, spirited association. Since that time, they've developed to become one of the leading collegiate athletic associations in the world, the Southwestern Athletic Conference. From the southeastern region of the United States and Alabama to the second largest state in the country in Texas, the parishes of Louisiana through the Mississippi River, and the natural state of Arkansas. Students from all over the world demonstrate the ability to perform, achieve, and excel in scholastic activities. Be a part of history. Be a part of the SWAC experience. Stand and be counted among the best in academics, athletics, music, stewardship. Create your world of contacts and friendships that last a lifetime. We are proud of our past and value our traditions. We will always carry a spirit of respect and competition. We are the Southwestern Athletic Conference. Honor the heritage.
This week's edition of the Carlos Brown Show, heard exclusively right here on the Open Mic Broadcast Network, and Spreaker.com. I guess we're going to put an HCD out on Charles Edmond. Waiting on a chance to talk with him, and I'll let you know when we have him lined up. But it's been an interesting show. I visited with Coach Lionel Washington, defensive coordinator at Southern University. He joined me in hour number one. Last segment, I visited with Coach Van Pettaway here, talking a little NBA playoff, and I'm scheduled to talk with Charles Edmond next. So hopefully we'll have that segment with you coming up very shortly. What was trending on the show, I'll recap that quickly. Lynn Thompson now resigning, contract won't renew it, as the vice president of intercollegiate athletics at Bethune-Cookman University. Also, Jennifer Lynn Williams announces plans to step down as AD at Alabama State. We wish both the best, although I will just say this, in just my opinion, I can see Lynn Thompson as maybe the future Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference commissioner. I really could see that. Jennifer Lynn Williams, now, according to sources, will be taking a position with USA Basketball. Bethune-Cookman University, now coming in the Southwestern Athletic Conference. You're talking about a critical hire. And it's got to be the right fit. You know, I always talk about being the right fit. Now they're going to hire a women's basketball coach, a men's basketball coach. Got an interim president. So all of those figure into each other. They've got to have a chemistry going. So whoever gets those positions, the interim president may become the permanent president. Okay. Thank you. I've just been told that Charles Edmond is calling in. Then you look at the director of athletics. That's an important position. He works hand in hand with the president. And then, the basketball coach. And let me just say this, from the outside looking in, Bethune-Cookman University women's basketball program, boy, they were terrific. They were terrific. So we wish them the best. We're going to take a quick time out. We have to transition to bring in Charles Edmond. You're listening to the Carlos Brown Show.
Be the one with courage to fight child abuse.
All Texans must find the courage to fight child abuse.
Learn the signs and symptoms and report suspected abuse to appropriate authorities.
Learn and know these warning signs.
A child who undergoes changes in behavior, appetite, or routine.
Watch for unexplained injuries, a change in academic performance, or loss of interest by a child in regular activities.
Trust your instincts. If you suspect something, do something.
If you believe a child is in an abusive situation, please call the Texas Abuse Hotline at 1-800-252-5400.
Be the one with courage. To find your local Children's Advocacy Center, visit onewithcourage.org.
On behalf of children, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome back to this week's edition of the Carlos Brown Show, heard exclusively right here on the Open Mic Broadcast Network. Now I'm going to visit with Charles Edmond of the Alcorn State Radio Network. Charles, good morning to you.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing fine. I'm on pins and needles if because I'm of course I'm pulling for Southern University in a elimination game. Those elimination games are exactly what they say they are. It's an elimination game. When are you going fishing? Are you going fishing? It should be an interesting ball game today. But a SWAC baseball tournament, I want to get your thoughts on what has taken place and kind of looking forward to the championship game.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it as well. I mean, it's been it's kind of been as expected. I mean, we talked throughout the baseball season about Jackson State, and they are who they are, and they were pushed pretty good by Grambling. A couple of days ago they had that 13-1 lead and lost it, but yet they got it back and won the bottom of the ninth. Southern University, the defending tournament champs, flexing their muscles yesterday. They got to get it done today if they want to see tomorrow. The number 2 seed Alabama State getting eliminated by Alcorn, a team that had the third hottest winning streak in the country at 11 in a row going into the tournament. So, I mean, there's a lot of great storylines. I mean, Grambling, just couldn't quite, get over the hump. I think they ran out of gas against Jackson State the second go-around yesterday. So I think when you look at it, the teams that are left standing, obviously Prairie View, Southern, and Jackson State, I think you can make the case 2 of those 3 teams probably deserve to be in that position. But Southern University, a lot of people wrote them off, and here they are, a win away from playing for the championship tomorrow.
Charles, we also have to make note of Alabama State. Now, they had some internal issues as far as not having their full team. Put it this way, some starters that were not available. They went 0-2, and I know you thought that they were positioned to make a deep run into the tournament.
I did feel that way. They were a team that gave Jackson State the most problems. If you look at them physically, they got players that can hit with power. A lot of home runs during the regular season. I think they had 31 or 32 home runs as a team. They had the speed, and I thought they had the pitching that could outlast Jackson State in terms of slowing the bats down just a little bit. But it's unfortunate that they had the COVID-19 related issues. They were really thin, and got to give the Braves credit for figuring out a way to get over the hump and beat them. Alcorn hadn't beaten Alabama State in like 5 years until the other day. I think they had won 42 or 43 in a row. Believe it or not, that's wow. A true stat. Yeah, so we got over the hump there, but when you don't have your complement of players, when you don't have your key pieces, when you don't have your key starters, it's really tough. And we didn't really know about it on the broadcast until right before the first pitch of their game, that they were going to be shorthanded and they didn't have their players there. And then it kind of got out on social media. I think the word got out. Once people saw how thin the dugout was, people tried to put the pieces together, and then the story surfaced. So it's unfortunate it happened at Bama State, and it's just a tough deal there.
Speaking of thin, on social media, there was some concern, and I received a text message this morning. Attendance at the SWAC Baseball Tournament Championship. Was it the case of, because of COVID, there wasn't a plan to have more attendance, fans, i.e. alumni, in the stands? Or is it a case simply because it was originally scheduled for Jackson and then moved it to Madison, Alabama? What did you hear as far as the protocol, as far as having the capacity of fans in the stadium?
Yeah, I didn't hear of any capacity restrictions there. I know something like that would have been talked about up in the press box. I did not hear of any capacity restrictions. We do know that the SWAC pivoted in terms of having the tournament there. It was originally supposed to be in Jackson. And I think that caught a lot of people off guard. And I talked with the Associate Commissioner, Dr. Jason Cable, about that, about just the pivot. I mean, the fact that Smith-Will Stadium didn't meet the SWAC standards, and it was pulled out of Jackson, and you had to find a facility quickly. And Madison was kind of in the conference's back pocket. They had to just cross the I's and dot the T's to get the facility because the Trash Pandas were out of town. So you're able to get a facility there. I think I don't think it was a restriction. I just think some people probably don't particularly care for Madison or Huntsville as being a viable location for the tournament. I think Jackson would have been really nice if everything fell into place. You're looking at right in Alabama A&M's backyard, 180 miles from Montgomery. It's not exactly centrally located, but as Dr. Cable indicated to me, it could be a future destination, especially with Bethune and Florida A&M coming on board. There's a feeling that it may be a central location with those two schools coming on board in the conference, two good baseball programs there. So it could be a future for the SWAC and SWAC baseball. I think Jackson is still in the mix from what I've been told. They'll still have a crack, but it definitely, attendance definitely was down. There's no doubt about that, but still I thought the fans that were there were very much in support of their team. I think there'll be better attendance today with Southern playing, and I think Prairie View actually had a couple of buses, for players and fans from Prairie View, Texas. So it's we had to pivot. There's no question about it, and it was a tough adjustment, but I think the SWAC did the best that they could considering.
And one could say between Jackson and Huntsville, you would have had more in attendance in Jacksonville. Am I close on that, or I'm out of the ballpark on that?
Well, I think you're dead spot on. I mean, the tournament's been in Jackson once before, and I think there was some synergy, especially with the way Jackson was playing. There was a lot of excitement to have the tournament in Jackson, because you had Jackson State and what they were doing. One of the hottest teams in the country, led the nation in stolen bases. You had Alcorn there. I mean, we had some fans, come to Huntsville, some Braves fans. So I think, if Valley had made the tournament, so Jackson would have been a great destination, but unfortunately, things just didn't work out at Smith Wheels. It didn't meet the SWAC standards. There was time given to get Smith Wheels up to snuff, and it didn't happen. So you had to find another facility. There was Biloxi was an outside possibility. I was told this week it was a real remote possibility. Probably not, but it was on the radar. But Huntsville definitely was once Jackson didn't meet the SWAC's certifications.
I'm visiting with Charles Edmond of the Alcorn State Radio Network. Now, Prairie View and Southern today. Is that game 3 p.m. or 2 p.m.? 3 p.m.?
I think it's 2 p.m.
Okay. See, I thought I heard them say they moved it up an hour, but well, we'll see. Your thoughts on that ball game?
Man, I mean, to see what Southern did last night, just it threw you for a loop, didn't it? I mean, the Jaguars are playing probably no doubt their best baseball of the year right now. I don't think anyone saw that coming, what they did last night. I think it'll be a low-scoring game today. We talked about this last week, the dark horse teams, you can't count the tournament champs out. And here Southern is standing one win away from playing for it all tomorrow. So I'm gonna say Southern University, the team that's kind of growing up quickly in front of our eyes, a team that's been solid. They had a couple of low-scoring games prior to last night. So I think Southern University, I think they might come out of this thing. I mean, Prairie View clearly got embarrassed. I mean, nothing that Antoine Regans did worked, and Southern had their hitting shoes on. So the law of averages says you're not going to have that type of game today. It might be 4-3, 3-2, 5-4, somewhere in there. And I think Southern, in my estimation, I think Southern will come out.
So you got Southern and Jackson in the finals, and first got to take care of business today. And it's interesting that you say that. I think Prairie View, after that loss, not that they didn't need any motivation, but they got it. But if you look at it, they won a close game 2-1, and then they had Southern's number during the regular season, 5 out of 6 that I counted. So this was going to be for the Marbles to get to the championship. And so you have Southern University making it. And then if you look at that possible matchup, Jackson State will be the favorites, of course.
Yeah, they will. And, we talked about Jackson State. I kind of kicked Jackson State to the curb. I admit that, and I admit that was to my detriment. I think what woke me up was the win over ULM at home. And then what we've seen in the tournament is very clear that you have to find a way to slow the bats down. Jackson can score however many runs they need to score. That's a fact. They scored. Grambling scored 12 unanswered after Jackson led 13-1. And kind of a funny story up in the press box where everybody was talking about who's going to win it when it was 13-all. Everybody in the press box said Grambling was going to pull it out because they had the momentum. Charles Edmonds said, Jackson State. If it got to the 10th inning, I think Grambling probably would have. But if Jackson got some speed on the bottom of the ninth, they were going to win the game. And then that's exactly what happened. Omar Johnson got speed on the bases, so a timely double down the left field line, and they won the game. And that was it. Jackson State is just hard to keep them off the bases. They have too many good hitters, too much discipline at the plate, too much speed on the bases. And Texas Southern, I think, had the right formula, but they just didn't have the off the punch. You got to make Jackson State feel the baseball in the infield and put runners on and manufacture runs. Texas Southern did that for a while, but then they just couldn't keep it up. And Jackson State just cranked out enough hits in that first game with TSU. That's why it was just 7-4. But I think that's, in order to beat Jackson State, you talk about a formula, you got to make them play defense on the infield. You're not going to slow them down at the plate. They're going to score 7, 8, 9 runs or however many runs they need to score. You just have to be able to get them out of sync defensively by getting runs yourselves and sometimes manufacturing runs. We talked about the lack of adversity that Jackson had to face. Well, when you're up 13-1 and you lose it, that's about as adverse as it gets in the postseason. Because I think if Jackson had lost that game, I don't know if they would have been able to recover. But that's what it's going to take. Whoever they play, Prairie View or Southern, I think Southern's built for it a little bit. I just don't know if Prairie View, if they win it, obviously they'll play Jackson. I don't know if Prairie View has the offensive firepower to match. I think Southern does to a certain extent. So I think if you talk about that matchup, who matches up better, I think Southern does because they can score runs. Prairie View wants to keep it 3-2. I just don't see Prairie View holding Jackson State to 3 runs or 4 or 5 or 6 or 7. I mean, that's just the way Jackson plays. They're just hard to slow down at the plate. They're hard to keep off the bases. You got to be real disciplined on the mound, and you really got to get them out of sorts. And the one time that they did get out of sorts was against Grambling, and they found a way in the 9th inning to pull it out.
And it's interesting, Charles, because here's kind of the conversation that you heard or you were having. Wow, Southern offensively, the pitching has been solid. The defense has been solid behind the pitching, and it can't score any runs. Now, in the last 2 ball games, 10 runs against Alcorn State to eliminate Alcorn, and then 34 runs, 2 games averaging 17. It's just quickly how amazing. And then it goes to me also. I often talk about, quality pitching, quantity, the bullpen. That may come into play today. Which bullpen can really be effective?
Yeah.
If need to be.
If need to be, I mean, when Southern won the way they won last night, I would imagine that their bullpen is probably fresher. I was looking at the numbers last night. I think Prairie View went through 5 or 6 pitchers, kind of what Jackson did against Grambling. So I'm going to say Southern's got the fresher arms, and I think that could come into play. That's why I think that they're going to have the edge. And then you have to look at experience too, Carlos. I mean, it's been a couple of years since we played SWAC tournament baseball, but Southern's been here. Southern's done that. Prairie View hasn't. I think experience might rule the day in this game today. That's the other reason why I have Southern University, because Prairie View hasn't been here before. Southern has, and I think that experience will help them get over the hump today.
Well, listeners are always listening in. Varick says Southern still has our 1 and 2 starters haven't pitched, and closer haven't pitched. Interesting.
Yep.
Interesting.
Yep. And I'll say this. I'll say this, Carlos. You know, the formula to beating Jackson State. I've been saying this for 3 or 4 years now. You got to get into their bullpen. Grambling did that. Grambling did exactly what you needed to do to beat Jackson State. And Omar Johnson made 5 pitching changes the other day. That's what you got to do. But at the same time, you can't fall behind 13-1 either. I mean, so what we saw the other night is something we might not see probably for another 10 years. That just doesn't happen. But it did at one time. And Jackson said, you know what, okay, we'll just score one and win it. That's exactly what they did. So I think, you know, even Jackson State, the game that they won to get to the finals, I mean, they still got the arms. They're not playing today. I mean, they got the perfect setup, actually. I mean, you won your bracket. Now you can sit back by the pool and come to the ballpark, do whatever you want to do, and just chill out and watch Southern and Prairie knock each other out. And whatever's left standing, then you're coming in fresh tomorrow, probably with your pitcher of the year starting tomorrow. So, you know, Jackson State's got the middle edge, I think the physical edge, but I think Southern's playing with a lot of confidence, and if they can come out today, I think it'll set up for a heck of a matchup tomorrow.
I'm visiting with Charles Edmond of the Alcorn State Radio Network, getting his thoughts and perspective on the SWAC baseball tournament, the 2021 edition. Now, Charles, I was asked to ask you this. Mr. Cole, in the transfer portal for Alcorn State, he has decided to put his name in there. I know you've been in Madison, but once again, you see impactful players going into the transfer portal. You have any thoughts on what that will mean for the defensive secondary and the defense for Alcorn State?
Yeah, that's a hit. That's a hit, and that's a big loss. Cole really was coming on the back end of that defense. Because of the fact that this just came down the line, I hadn't had a chance to make some calls and find out what happened, but just for this to happen is quite shocking. So I don't have anything more on that, and so I'll have to just see what the deal is there. But it's definitely a setback, you know, because he was one of those youngsters that grew up in front of our very eyes that made plays, and now he's in the transfer portal. And so we'll spend a couple of days seeing what happened or what didn't happen, why he did it. But then we got to move on. And that's the thing about these players that transfer. You know, I'm learning, you know, our basketball players, we had like 4 or 5 that was in the transfer portal. And what I've learned is that typically, and this goes for probably a lot of players, you see it today, but they may have made their mind up a long time ago. And so then you got to backtrack and like, what happened a long time ago for you to make this decision? Not saying every player is doing it that way, but typically when players transfer, they just didn't wake up today and said, I'm entering the transfer portal. They probably had their mind made up a while ago. It was just what happened a while ago to make you make this decision. Sometimes it's something that happens instantaneously or within the last week or two, but usually it's within the last month or two. They've made their mind up. It's just a matter of how you go about telling your coach and putting your name out there. So we'll find out. You know, it's definitely a big loss, and we'll just have to pivot.
Now, if I can, I got about 5 minutes left, 4 minutes left, 5 minutes. Put your AD hat on. I'm going down the rabbit hole once again.
Here we
I know
go.
you love. Huh?
Buckle up. Buckle up. I'm ready. Let's go.
Well, you got the AD hat on. Coach Crenshaw, and we've had these interesting conversations about contracts, 1 year, 2 year, 3 year. Coach Crenshaw signed a 1 year deal like Coach Rollins. You're the AD. Based on what has happened so far in this tournament, does Coach Crenshaw have his agent sitting down with you all ready to iron out a new contract?
Carlos, you know the answer to that question already. You asked the question.
I want you to tell me. Go ahead.
The answer is yes. It would have been, well, I'll say this. After yesterday, hell yes. 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 Yeah, I think, you get to the bracket final, you go through COVID, you go through all the starts and stuff, you go through this stuff, and to get to the bracket final, even though you won the championship, it's been 2 years, I think he deserves more time. And first of all, I'm not a believer in, and I was talking with people at the tournament about this last couple of weeks. I'm not an AD, but if I was, I would not sign a coach to a 1-year deal. I mean, and regardless of the deal, if he takes it, that coach, he or she is going to bust their tail to make the best out of that 1 year. But I just believe that you got to give a coach time. Doesn't matter whether they were on the staff or not. Got to give a coach time. Got to give him 3 years at least. 3 with an option 4. And you roll from there. After 3 years, if the program is trending downward, then you have a conversation. If the program is trending upward, then you tack on some more years to it. So to answer your question, he would have had a 3-year deal because he was already on the staff when that team won the championship 2 years ago. So continuity is still in place. He would have had a 3-year deal once Kerry Jackson walked away and left and go to MLB. As soon as he walked out the door, I would have given Crenshaw a 3-year deal, and we roll forward. I don't have to worry about the baseball program for the near future.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I agree with you, except for here we go again. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I would have given him a 2-year deal. And so Charles, we don't need to argue over 1 year. What is 12 months? No, I actually agree with you. Can you believe it? I think he will get an extension, and you ready for this? I'm giving Coach Rollins an extension right off the bat. Yeah, he would have gotten the same deal, 2-year deal, 3-year deal plus 1. Can you believe that?
Yeah, well, no, I can't believe it, but I agree with it. I understand why you wouldn't, but again, you want your folks to be comfortable in their situation. A 2-year deal, when you're trying to put your stamp on a program, 2 years is just not a lot of time. I mean, because players are going to flush themselves out, or you're going to flush them out. The program's going to change. The makeup of it, the attitude of it's going to change. And it's going to take at least 2 years to be able to take that piece of clay and shape it into something that you can see. So that's why 2 years for me, 2 years is not enough time. I think 3, you'll be able to see clearly, or a lot clearer than you did before, to see, okay, this guy might be what we're looking for, or not. 2 years to me, especially nowadays with the transfer portal and all of that, and that's going to probably change a little bit as we go forward. I think that 3 years is enough time to be able to say, okay, this is the direction the program is going in, good or bad. 3 years is good enough for me, and if he's going in the right direction, you tack on another year, and you just keep going with it.
Well, based on the regular season, losing 5 out of 6 to Prairie View, you'd have asked me then, you'd have got a different answer. But you didn't ask me then, you didn't ask me now. But wow, this is just interesting. They do have a tough job. They really do, Director of Athletics. But it's a job, however, that must be done, and they need all the resources that they can get to get it done.
Carlos, you are a very tough AD, Carlos Brown. You are a hard liner for sure.
Wow. I'm glad I'm political and not a hard liner. Well, Charles, be safe in your travels, and we'll talk again real soon.
All right, you guys be safe.
All righty. Want to quickly thank today's guest menu personnel, Coach Lionel Washington, Coach Van Pettaway, and Charles Edmond. Also want to thank producer of today's show, Dr. Michael Prince. Don't forget to make a donation, if you care to do so, to the Carlos Brown Show. The Cash App is the Carlos Brown Show. Dr. Prince, quickly, who do you have on Sunday night?
Well, we have a couple of mystery guests lined up, depending on how some things work out.
Mystery.
Yes, sir.
Oh, boy.
Oh, yeah.
Somehow, why do I think it could be Omar Johnson? Could be Coach Crenshaw. Who knows? Could be Prairie View A&M's baseball coach, whose name escapes me right now.
His name is Mr. Antoine Riggins.
Coach Riggins.
Yes,
He's done
sir.
a great job. Guess what? Tell him he has a contract extension via me. Prairie View A&M baseball coach. He's done an outstanding job.
I'm pretty sure he's got the memo, and someone will forward that to him, but we'll make sure it gets reinforced.
All righty. Well, until next Saturday at 10 a.m. for another edition of the Carlos Brown Show, heard exclusively right here on the Open Mic Broadcast Network and Spreaker.com. Make sure you join us then. And until that time, as always, peace and God bless.